Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, and thank you for inviting me to share a few ideas with this big group of leaders in business and various other aspects of our lives. And thank you for allowing me to share the stage with Mr. Tony Leon. He is my good brother, and Kuseni and others. It's quite a privilege for me to have an opportunity to talk to you. I was organizing why you chose me, and I thought maybe it's because of the elections. But I thought I would disappoint you. I would not be tempted to electioneer this morning. In my mind, the elections have taken place. The challenge for South Africans is, what do we do with this country after that? That's how my mind is positioned at the moment. Before one looks at what it takes to be a leader today, it might be prudent to look at the prevailing circumstances within which we find ourselves in the world. We have a world economy in a dramatic downturn. This fact has prompted the governments of the United States and Britain to intervene in the private sector, and amongst others, throw a lifeline or lifelines to some of its biggest financial institutions. Other major financial institutions in the world have filed for bankruptcies. The global economy has become so interdependent and interwoven that countries worldwide almost immediately feel the effect of the major players' experience trauma. South Africa, therefore, has also suffered from the global economic downturn and the negative sentiments around sectors such as financial services and commodities. This prevalent global and local scenarios places substantial pressure on our government, as one of the first casualties in such dramatic downturn will be jobs. If you read that fact into the economic policies of the African National Congress, as well as the context of our election manifesto, it presents a major challenge to the government that will be in place after the inauguration of the President on the 27th of April this year. We have, amongst others, indicated that one of our primary goals is to alleviate poverty through the creation of new job opportunities. We have also indicated that we want to focus on creating jobs through the multiply effect, and with our investment in schools, houses, and healthcare facilities, to ensure that local communities benefit from the efforts of the ANC government. In these trying circumstances, one could venture that the following could be guidelines for present as well as for future leaders. Always to look for partnerships where the principle of reciprocity is embedded. Always look for the niche in the services and outsourcing market that no one else has covered. Always learn as much as you can from your competitors. It has never been a shame to copy a good idea. Remember, imitation is the highest form of flattery. Always place the emphasis on simple honesty and good corporate governance. Whatever the size of your company, be in the marketplace, find out which business organizations have the respect of their sectors and government, and join them. And market your product. Understand that in the face of adversity, companies often shy away from creativity and find safety in conservatism. This is the time for new and smaller entrants into the market to be bold and seize the opportunity. It's happening in this country. When others are cringing and looking inward, there are those who are diving into our market and taking advantage of the opportunities. Well, we better wake up, all of us, and see the other opportunities in the challenges facing us. Look for the new opportunities, niches, and partnerships in those sectors where government will spend considerable amounts of money. We have indicated that such opportunities will be created in health, housing, infrastructure, and education. And the other area we need to look at is how do we increase our domestic spending in order to counterbalance the collapse of exports. See and seize opportunity that a change in leadership in government brings. New leaders bring new ideas and look for better and brighter service providers. Present yourself and your products in that space. Do not be discouraged when you fail. Richard Nixon once said that you have only failed when you give up, not when you have been temporarily defeated. Be proud of being a South African in the midst of a young and transitional democracy. Protect and defend our country and bring your talents to the discussion forums where we discuss the security situation, regional conflicts, poverty and job creation. The truth is that, ladies and gentlemen, we have faced poverty before. We have also faced adversity before. We have faced oppression, condemnation, brutalization, prison and denial of our utmost basic human rights before. We come from a space where we had to understand that our efforts might not be rewarded in our lifetime, but in that of our children. This reminds me of a discussion we had with President Bush, Tony, when we were in Washington together. President Zuma asked him, what does he think about his legacy? He said, you know, the world has already judged me, it does not matter. He says it may be time we'll find another judgment on me. It took us more than 80 years as the ANC to move from party formation to winning a democratic election. One of these days it will be 100 years since the formation of the ANC. During that period, many have suffered and died, but that glorifies our victory rather than distracting from it. What then are the characteristics of the leaders that saw us through a traumatic 80 years and will stand us in very good stead in the current trying circumstances? Victory does not mean destroying your opponent. It means making your former opponent a co-owner of the solution that you have created. Victory never means winners takes all. Unless there is something for everyone in victory, it does not present a solution. Always look for partnerships, whatever your circumstances or history. Always in your circumstances look for partnerships that illustrate our diversity rather than our differences. Be prepared to lose a battle or two, but keep your eye on the ball and the bigger picture. Create support for your ideas through knocking on doors, and knocking on doors. Work harder and smarter than your opponent. Clearly verbalize the solution and not the narrow victory. Always make sure that you are taking those who work for you or support you with you whenever you change course. In the face of many, many difficulties during the early 90s when we were, before the 1994 elections, I remember there was a lot of killings in the townships, a lot of tension, finger pointing, many temptations to do wrong things. Mandela always said to us, don't be provoked. Let us impose peace on this country. Don't be provoked. Don't listen to your heart. Listen to your head. Be subtle and willing to change your ideas. Do not be afraid to be challenged or to be criticized or overreact to criticism. Make sure that you understand that when the time for change has arrived, all solutions often do not fit new challenges. We live in a time when we need leaders who are honest, inclusive, courageous, and willing to work extremely hard to achieve their goals. We also live in a time when we need to understand that government, labor and private sector, and community organizations need to work together to find creative solutions for the obvious and substantial challenges facing us. No one can do it alone. We need to work together. We also need to understand that the period leading up to 22nd April will accentuate our political and other differences. In the ANC, our view is that the day after the elections is a day that we forget the negative campaigning, look for the best in each one of us, irrespective of party affiliation, and move forward in partnership. We have a duty towards future generations to reconcile and build our nation, and we must never take this agenda of reconciliation very lightly. Let us differ from each other in a way that illustrates that principle. I thank you and wish you a good conference.